Hello and welcome to BloxLive TV. Today is Wednesday, February the 27th. We're now live with the latest in the crypto world. It's 9:30 a.m. in New York City, 2:30 p.m. in London, 11:30 p.m. in Tokyo and 3:30 p.m. here in Malta. While digital assets have found stability around the $130 billion market capitalization level, and the trading activity continues to cool down. Let's take a closer look at the market trends in today's live Crypto Now show. The cryptocurrency index CCI 30 has remained above the 2,200-point mark. It stands 3% in the green year to date. The top 30 cryptos have had a bullish February, gaining approximately 17%. The 30-day Bitcoin volatility index remained virtually unchanged yesterday after jumping towards the 3% level on Monday. The 24-hour traded volume indicator has been trending south after the explosive Monday, and it currently stands at approximately $25.5 billion. The Bitcoin dominance indicator has stayed close to the 52% level as the overall market is trading sideways. The top 5 digital assets show no significant moves. Bitcoin holds its ground above the $3,800 price level. Ether has made a slight shift higher and tests the $140 resistance line. The Coinbase Bro listing has had a limited long-term influence on XRP, which trades at slightly less than 32 cents. The EOS coin has returned back above the $3.50 level. Litecoin has held the ground above the $45 mark. The coin's 360-degree heat map shows a generally bullish mood on the market, but the major asset moves are not significant. According to the token spread website, Bitcoin dollar spreads are slightly elevated on the CEX exchange. The BitMEX and XMO exchanges post the biggest intermarket bid and a side difference of 3%. Well, today we'll take a look at some of the characteristics of the Decreed project. The open source cryptocurrency was launched in early 2016 and has been looking to solve the blockchain governance issues. It's a hybrid of the proof of work and proof of stake systems. This combination helps to ensure that no single group can master the flow of the transactions or make changes without input from the community. Well, this does help to avoid community disagreements, which often result in a disruptive hard fork. The coin raced past the $100 mark on a number of occasions during the early trading months of last year, but the bear market has taken its toll on the price. But so far this year, the asset has been trading below the $20 level. Well, we'll now review the performance of the cryptocurrency asset classes. We use data from the Messari website, which groups cryptocurrencies into 5 major categories. The infrastructure group is up by nearly 2%, but the top assets show a generally mixed performance picture. The media and entertainment category has gained more than 4%. This is the most bullish segment today, and the rise has fueled the Theta token and Decentraland's Mana token. The financial sector is just slightly more than 2% up, and most of the assets are trading in the green. The cryptocurrency category posts an increase of just over 1% in general, with most of the cryptocurrencies within this section showing gains. And lastly, the services sector shows a close of 2%, with the green in the majority of the assets posting gains. Well, this is where the 5 major cryptocurrency categories stand so far on this Wednesday. We'll now focus on the biggest and most significant moves among the top 100 cryptocurrencies to identify the top gainers and the biggest decliners. There are some significant increases in these overall calm markets. The ABBC coin has surged by nearly 32%. A couple of sharp moves have taken the price of the asset up by more than 100% over the past week. Smartphone partnerships have been a major bullish signal for traders, and the relevant digital assets have shown increases in recent days. It was announced yesterday that Decentraland will partner with HTC to offer the Decentraland marketplace on the Exodus One, the blockchain-powered smartphone. As a result, the Mana token surged above the 5-cent level for the first time since the Christmas rally. The bullish February continues for the Theta token. The altcoin has gained close to 200% month to date, looking to break through the 14-cent level. The BitHub exchange yesterday announced their support for Theta's mainnet, token swap and fuel distribution. The Qubit token is up by double digits to rise further above the $10 level. The Versatanium token has rebounded after suffering heavy losses earlier in the week, and a rise puts the digital asset back on the front page of the CoinMarketCap website. Some major pullbacks among the assets that were on a recent bullish run. The SAFE token has given up more than 50% over the past 24 hours. This digital asset has found support around the $1 level after its price peaked to $4 on Monday. The Engine coin has rallied on the Samsung partnership speculation, but the altcoin has now given up some of the gains as it's down by 15%. The Basic Attention token has retreated after surging yesterday, and it settled above the 15-cent level on a decline of nearly 9%. The Aurora token is known for its volatility and stands 7% in the red. The past week was bullish for the Ontology coin, but it's been on a slide this week to test the 90-cent support level. These are the top 24-hour moves during the European morning trading session on this Wednesday. We'll now discuss the latest moves on the market with our crypto expert, Jason Fernandes, COO and co-founder of AE Token. Hi, Jason. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jessica. How you doing?
It's great to have you live on the line. Now we're going to jump in because we're going to discuss some of the most significant recent moves that we have seen. The Engine coin surged on the Samsung partnership rumours yesterday, giving up some of the gains today. Another smartphone partnership drove the Decentraland's Maynard token higher today. Are partnerships like this going to be a major market driver this year, or will these gains stick out, or will they fade out?
So I think you might see a little retracement here over the next few days, especially with Decentraland's Mana token. But these partnerships are significant, especially because they go to the main thing with crypto, and that's adoption. So Engine coin in particular is really interesting. I think they've since confirmed their partnership with Samsung, or it has since been confirmed, so I hear, and that's really significant because Samsung is one of the largest, it is the largest cell phone manufacturer on the planet. It has something like 32% market share. And, you know, we hear a lot about Apple, but Apple is something at like 20%. So it's just, it's completely dwarfed by Samsung and its use basically around the world. So that really, it really goes to adoption. And I think that will turn out good for Engine coin. Decentraland's Mana, that's also really good news for that cryptocurrency, but this is going to have an overall less impact because of the size of the smartphone market that HTC commands. So HTC is pretty much in the other category. It's I think it, along with several other smartphone manufacturers, make up the last 4% of the market. So I really don't think. I mean, it's going to have an impact, but how significant that'll be, I don't really know. Unless, on the other hand, if they're able to sign up other players in the smartphone industry, and they might be able to, given that they have HTC, they might be able to parlay that into to other players. But overall, I think the Engine coins news is a lot more significant than Mana's.
Yourself, Samsung have a 32% market share in the smartphone space. Massive. What interpretation can we make of all these major players diving into cryptocurrency, also such as like NASDAQ, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, ICE, Mitsubishi, and now we've got Swiss bank Julius Baer?
So I think overall it's really a good thing. The more interest in the market, the better. These big names like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, NASDAQ, this certainly brings some eyeballs to the table and people that are maybe interested in looking at the market that maybe weren't interested in looking at the market before. But some of the examples you mentioned, so JP Morgan's coin is not yet focused on really bringing institutional investors on board. It's more for money transfer between themselves. But with the coins that you mentioned that are working on bringing institutional investors on board, so for example, ICE, you know, they're fixing to launch back, which is going to make a huge difference to institutional investors. And also Julius Baer, they said that they partnered with SIBA Crypto AG and will utilize that platform to offer storage, transaction, and investment solutions for digital assets. And they said that they're doing this to meet the growing demand from its clients, and that's from their clients, and that's key because if that is indeed true, and there is really that much demand from institutional investors to get in, it's only going to be a matter of time before the floodgates start opening, and regulation comes in that is positive and will allow for this floodgates to really open. So I think that's clearly it puts pressure on the SEC to approve things like Bitcoin ETFs, and I think that's a good thing, and certainly brings more eyeballs to the market.
And more eyeballs to the market. Some experts also believe that we can expect a bull run this year thanks to all these moves that are aimed at bringing institutional investors into the crypto market. Now, a few others believe that this won't happen until the next Bitcoin halving in 2020 May. Do you have any insight there?
Actually, I do think 2019 would be the year that Bitcoin ETFs are approved. There was actually supposed to be a decision today on VanEck's Bitcoin ETF application, but it's probably be pushed back. But I do think that before the year is out, we will see Bitcoin ETFs, and obviously that's going to be a huge game changer. And I think that there's just too much pressure on the SEC from so many different avenues that they're sooner or later going to have to get on board and expedite approval of these sort of instruments. And assuming it does get approved, let's say in the third quarter, and things like BACT become a reality, especially because BACT is essentially it's physical settlement of bitcoins. So we would see that reflected in the price of Bitcoin almost immediately, and then certainly there would be a knock-on effect with other institutional investors getting on board because of the regulatory approvals, and that should herald, I think, the next bull run. So I think we might be looking perhaps earlier than May 2020. I'm a bit more bullish than that.
Okay, and that's interesting. And some other people that might be considered bullish, there have obviously been various reports that Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash whales have been accumulating crypto since November 2018. One interpretation is that they believe the prices have bottomed. So what's your opinion on this, Jason?
So it wouldn't surprise me to see Bitcoin dip at some point in the future. I mean, we've been through 5 bear markets just since 2012. But interestingly, most of these, with the exception of one that lasted 3 years, most of these bear markets have lasted about 4.5 months. And Bitcoin dropped to 5,500 in November, and it's mostly been sliding till it hit 3,300 recently. And now it appears to have turned. But it's testing the 3,900 resistance level. And if you count 4.5 months, or let's say 4 months from around November, we would due for a reversal around this time anyway. So I think it's quite possible that that at least for now, the prices could have already bottomed and we could be on our way upward.
Okay, and one coin that has gone upward is Ripple's XRP, which saw a rally just before and immediately after the Coinbase Pro listing. Now it's lost most of its gains, and a few hours ago it showed a 24-hour decline of nearly 1%. Is this a correction in price, or did rumours that they got paid for the listing just impact the price?
So I don't think it was a correction because, if you think 1%, that's a really tiny number. It would be just, you could put that down to just normal ebb and flow. There was some controversy recently because Coinbase rules do not allow listing a cryptocurrency if the majority of the tokens are held by the team. But somehow Ripple managed to overcome that and get listed anyway. So there was some controversy about that. But I think what Ripple really needs to be concerned about is the crypto analytics firm Messari, when they published a report just recently alleging that XRP's market cap could be overvalued by as much as $6 billion. So essentially they say that XRP's liquid circulating supply could be overestimated by 48%, which means the actual market cap would be something like 6.9 billion instead of 13 billion. That would be something that would be much more concerning to me, and I don't know if it hasn't really affected the market the way it should. But these are the sort of things that Ripple really needs to be concerned about, I think.
Okay, and that's interesting. Now, if history does repeat itself, Jason, Ether, which for now does remain weakened, will trade sideways for a few weeks before seeing its price increase. Instead, it could just experience a drop in valuation of no more than around 20%, according to some experts that we've spoken to. What's your analysis of the upcoming hard fork? How will this affect ETH?
So the major alterations during the Ethereum Constantinople hard fork will affect things such as the network's core protocol specifications, contract standards, client APIs, and its effect it's expected to really be a major upgrade. And generally, historical data has shown that price volatility tends to spike hours before the upgrade. So we see when Byzantium hard fork would happen, there was a lot of price volatility, and eventually it led to something like a 20% slide, which is pretty much where they get that number that perhaps Ethereum is due for something like that again. I think that it's possible that delays in the schedule update could also negatively affect the market. But I think that that overall, over time, it should recover and should be because ultimately it is an upgrade and it will make things easier for a lot of new players to get into the market. So ultimately, it should get back, but then you will likely see some degree of volatility over the next few weeks, probably.
And another upgrade that we have is, of course, Tron's upgrade scheduled for tomorrow. In this case, the upgrade is aimed at bringing institutional investors in. So far, TRX has been trading mostly sideways on this. So, Jason, should we expect a price spike after Odyssey hard fork is implemented?
So I think I don't think you would see one that was much in excess of what we saw on the 24th when they announced the news. Tron has said that essentially that they have received numerous demands from hedge funds, mainstream investors, and financial institutions that things need to be changed. And essentially, this 3.5 hard fork is supposedly designed to fill these demands by including key improvements, including multi-signature account management and custody protocols, which were thought to be necessary for institutional investment. But like they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I think that the bump that we saw on February 24th when the news was announced is pretty much already, in terms of the announcement news, has already been priced in. It might bump up a little bit once it goes live, but until we actually start seeing some institutional investment move into Tron, I don't think that there's that's going to endure. And I really haven't heard that much interest. Just from generally, I haven't really heard that much interest in institutional investors actually getting into Tron. I think like the belle of the ball right now is Bitcoin. So, but if Justin Sun is right and Tron has basically received so many requests from institutional investors that they do certain upgrades, then clearly that could obviously have a positive impact on the market. But we saw only like a really small gain last time on the 24th when it was announced something like 8%, but then it slid back down. So I wouldn't expect to see a bump of more than like 6 or 7% before it starts sliding back down until more concrete news where we actually see institutional investors getting in. Until that happens, I don't think it's going to pop much, at least as far as that news is concerned.
Okay. And Jason, you said that the belle of the ball is Bitcoin. Is that where you're expecting to see something interesting happen upcoming, or is that where you're keeping your attention?
I think, yeah, I mean, everybody's watching Bitcoin because if Bitcoin starts crossing the 4,100, the 4,200 mark, it's going to bring a lot of cryptocurrencies along with it. I mean, if you look at the charts, it's a strong correlation between Bitcoin and pretty much every other cryptocurrency. And so that's when things start affecting Bitcoin and Bitcoin starts moving up, that's good for the whole cryptocurrency industry. At least that's how it's proven to be thus far. So I think we're excited to see how that will improve things for the whole crypto market in general.
Fantastic. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us on the line. It's always a pleasure to get your insights. Thank you so much for taking part in the live show today.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you. Well, before we sign off, I do have a last-minute update from our editorial staff regarding the crypto market. There has been a slight shift higher for the overall market. As a result, the total capitalization edged above the $131 billion level, and all of the top 10 digital assets are currently trading in the green. The 24-hour traded volume indicator continues shrinking, and it slipped below the $25 billion mark. The bullish performance continues for decentralized Mana token, but some of the massive gains have been given up. Well, that's all for this Wednesday's Crypto Now live show. We thank Jason Fernandes of A Token for his expert analysis, and we thank you, the audience, for joining us, and invite you all to accompany us every weekday at the same time.